Are you filming?
No.
And with that, we can start another episode. Hello, yes, I have Annelien with me, and I have dog with me. Phoenix is here. And we're driving up from Kristiansand into Norway, southern Norway. And I thought I can use the opportunity to do a 2.5 thousand subscriber special and answer some questions that you sent in. And later, maybe look at some of my photos from my first roll of film from last year that I promised to show on this channel. One is coming from Dennis, from Russia. What method is more effective to get best photos? Photographing from the photo hide or quite sneaking with camouflage? And which one do I prefer? I think they both have quite some advantages. The thing with the photo hide is that you probably get better shots, but you also are quite dependent on the location. I mean, you wouldn't set a photo hide up where there's no wildlife. But the camouflage is better in some situations where you can't set up a photo hide, a bit more spontaneous, and you basically just go out to see whatever animal crosses your path. So I guess I would prefer the camouflage because then you're always a bit more flexible to leave, but the photo hide definitely gets you the better photos.
We just had a stop at a place in Byglandsfjord, which is like on the end of the fjord. So now we're driving into like Setesdal territory.
A small stop around the roadside, and I thought while Phoenix here is trying to calm down a bit from all the ride today, that we could answer another question. And this one is coming from Photo Hysteria, and I guess you're from the United States because you're asking, have you ever been to the United States to do wildlife photography? If so, where? And the answer is simply no, I haven't been to the United States, so nowhere. And I would like to go there. Some really great national parks, I guess quite some more wildlife than here, but that's for another distant future.
Made our way up to the mountains, and now it's about 2.5 hours more until we're there. This looks really nice though.
Now the landscape in Setesdal is quite diverse. You start off with wide valleys where you have big lakes, still steep mountains, then it gets a bit more narrow, the river becomes faster, the mountain's even steeper, and then you end up in this place which is kind of on top of the mountain. I would nearly say like highlands. And that's also really nice because there are definitely other species to find here. But that's not what we're talking today about. You might be asking yourself where you can get one of these stylish marker shirts. They're in the merch shop. Little secret, no merch shop. And we have two questions from Robert Lawrence. Do you prefer photographing mammals or birds? Clearly mammals, that's why I waste a lot of time on mammals, don't get any photos, and then in between I shoot birds because there are more birds to photograph. Second question, do you have any particular species that you would like to photograph? Pine marten. We even got some minor wildlife photography done. I don't even know what the birds are called. You saw them? No, not close enough. We identify it later. Seems like the male is yellow and the female is not. That's what I would guess, but now we just gonna carry on and hopefully make it in time, but we still gonna have some stops. It goes so fast sometimes, and then you're suddenly in the mountains. I still have my shorts on, but now it's actually a bit cold. I have the sweater on now, jacket, windbreaker. Oh, this is just beautiful because I haven't been in the mountains since last year basically.
Försiktigt.
It's maybe a bit busy, but there's one thing I want to show you before we reach our destination quite soon. So while we're here, let's answer one more question from the bird dude. Out of all the animals you have seen, which species is your favorite? I think the Arctic fox, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen the pine marten yet, so maybe if I see the pine marten, that's my favorite. Also, how many species of birds have you seen? Sorry bird dude, no idea. I've seen a ton on New Zealand, in New Zealand at least. And now let's get to our destination because I'm getting tired and I want to sleep and eat.
Soon we can put up the tent, and I can't wait to sit down and have a beer. What do you say?
I hate beer. Beer is for dogs.
No.
That's what I have to say. What?
I don't know.
So, we arrived at a campsite. Not the campsite that we wished for. You hear that there is a road in the back. Though the dog is happy, the food is
Cooking?
cooking. Is it cooking? Boiling?
It's cooking.
It looks like it's quite yeah, okay. Maybe like this.
I have turned it down and everything.
And doesn't matter so bad that it's not the campsite that we wished for, though it would have been fond childhood memories for me and sleeping under cherry trees, but we just stay in this area for one night anyhow. So I think I think I'm done with questioning for today. And also we just below a really big waterfall, just by the way. I put this in now. Already filmed that.
Here's the waterfall.
Yes, here's the waterfall. And I'm gonna answer a few more questions tomorrow on our way until we caught up to my parents. And I think we're good for today. I'm just hungry and yeah. But I'm fine. I'm fine.
You're hungry, but
I'm
you're
hungry.
fine.
I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
That's why I turn this off now. I wish you a beautiful morning. First time that Phoenix slept with us in the inner tent. He was a bit shy, but it worked out pretty well. Beautiful scenery. I just wanted to show you that waterfall from a bit more open position without the tree. And I thought, answer one more question. And it's another one from Robert Lawrence. What would you like to be perceived as? Primarily a videographer, filmmaker, who also shoots stills, or as a stills photographer who makes videos to illustrate the photography process? And I think when I started the channel, it was the stills photographer that wanted to show the process. But on the other hand, I always loved making videos. And now I would consider myself more like a video editor. And I enjoy that way more at this point of time. Of course, I'm a wildlife photographer in some cases, but also, yeah, filmmaker, video editor. That's what I would like to be perceived as. But in general, more like a whole media person at some point. Okay. Oi. All picked, ready to go. Mr. Boy. Fnee. Ready to go. Happy to have moody weather yesterday when we passed over the Highland Pass, and today we're also going over the mountains, and as you see, it's like really sunny. Sad that we don't have much time to stop And maybe on the way back we want to wild camp in some of these areas that we have seen now, because it just it looks way better than staying on a campsite. One of the last questions I want to answer on this trip to Norway is from Tomohiro from Japan. And you're basically asking, when you buy a new camera, which one I would recommend in case of Nikon. And you mentioned the Z6 and Z6 too. And I think both cameras are great. It really depends on if you really need the upgraded autofocus. For other kinds of photographies, for vlogging, I think the Z6 is totally fine. People prefer the flippy screen, which you can now have on the ZFC, like this retro-looking camera. But I guess if you wait and that comes to the 52, you will also get the flippy screen on that one. So I would recommend that if you really just after vlogging, because if they bring one of those, I'm really tempted right now to get one, but I will look into other opportunities first. But I think you can't go wrong with any of these cameras. And if you need a flippy screen, then you have to go for one of them. If you prefer other, like wildlife photography, for example, then Z6 II, for example, just to have the best autofocus. But that's just my opinion on it. I haven't tested the other cameras, but I'm certainly glad about the vlogging capabilities. I can't say this word. What a great view, isn't it? I hope that the dynamic range can show it actually. I think I'm quite dark maybe. But just amazing place to set up a tent. We caught up with my parents. One day has passed. We have been hiking a bit in the mountains, driving over some old mountain roads. We found actually a place I've never been to in this area, which I think made driving a lot really worth it. And now I thought I round up with answering the last questions and show you something about my first roll of film. Not too long. The last question is from Ellen Moore. How did you get started in photography? If not wildlife, what other types of photography would you consider? I think I just went on holiday and I decided to have my first DSLR and I just bought one. Back then I had a Sony with a half mirror or something. I actually don't know how it worked. And yeah, I enjoyed just pointing the camera at everything. I think I did more like landscape and travel photography, but really nothing with a specific reason. I just wanted to have a good camera to cover what I was seeing and bring those photos home to remember the travels I did back then in Norway, and then I've stayed in New Zealand for 7 months. And another question is, if you could go anywhere and photograph any animal, where and which one? I think, Ellen, that's a really hard question. I haven't asked myself that really, because I haven't considered leaving the country. Not because of Corona, because of different other reasons, climate-wise or whatever. So I haven't really thought about that. If I really could go and shoot any animal, I'm not sure. I can't answer this question. And you also asked what's the square root of 17? But that's just a joke, because I don't know the answer. I have to really thank you all for sending in these questions. I can't say enough in these subscriber specials that I can be so happy to have an audience. That's not normal to necessarily have an audience. So thanks for tuning in and watching these videos and all other videos that I do. That's really kind of you. and then to participate in this format. That's really great. So now let's have a short look on what I can tell you about my first roll of film from last year. So there might be a small cut because I checked if it's overexposed. Most probably the background is overexposed because I'm sitting here and it exposed on my face. But what I want to show you is a few shots of my first roll of film last year. And I started with a video where I went out and took seascapes. And I think actually that the film photo looks really nice and I can put it on the screen for you. But over the first couple of months while I was using that film and just trying out a bit, it's a bit about trying out settings and how film works. But that whole roll of film kind of started to be a memory of what Annelien and I did when we went on a trip, and I asked her, do you have a photo of you and this car? And she says no, and I just take a photo of her with her car. I have this photo which I call the last days of the PhD, where I took a photo of her working, completely tired, through the crack of the door, just trying out what I can do with the camera. Or when we eat sushi just outside somewhere that we made ourselves and then just went out to have sushi somewhere. When we first met Phoenix as a small puppy and he's trying to eat the shoelaces of Annelien. Then, look at this photo. It looks really old, but first day we get Phoenix home. And he's just such a happy fluff ball. Until a few months later, I have a photo of me and Phoenix. So I have to say, I reloaded my film camera and I'm shooting also photos this year. And it's a bit randomly when I take it with me, but it's also things that you don't really remember that good. And then you suddenly get the film back. It's like a time capsule of that day, of that year. And it's really nice to have it. So I can only recommend to everyone out there to sometimes, just use film photography again for a nostalgic reason. I really enjoyed that. Before I end this video, I just want to make a short note on sponsorship because I never addressed it. Of course, you see that I did some work with Tragopan or with Fjällräven, for example, and I basically do sponsorships with brands that I believe in, brands that I used for some time, and brands that I think will help my work or the quality of the videos increase in quality. I basically will do that in the future, just that you know that. I think you can respect that, and a lot of people were positive about the sponsorships I've done so far. That said, I hope I can record some more videos on this trip. I don't know that yet. It's a bit problematic with the dog, meeting family, all that stuff. But I'm so glad that you tune in for this subscriber special. I know it's not for everyone. I'm so glad that you sent in questions, that you listened, that you just shared a bit of my experience here. And I hope to bring you some wildlife photography soon again from home. Because this holiday won't be forever, of course. And then I'm really thankful that you tune in. Have a great summer. It would be a part-wise season without a hike.